on the other side of me, and if you don't hear it, not even gonna worry about it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't hear
But
it.
if you do, I'll shut the main door.
You have an 8-track?
HVAC. Yeah. Also an 8-track. Spinning some beats just on the other
Nice.
side of this wall.
Playing
Yeah,
some Andre Castellanos.
that's right.
All right. Let me see. Give me my preview. Twitch. Come on. Stop spinning. Yep. You're live whenever you're ready,
Three,
Tom.
3, 2. Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
It feels like the beginning of a new era. It's just me, Sarah, and Roger today. Sarah's like settling into the new studio.
It's true. Yes, I am in Studio Redwood. That's what we're calling it for
Studio
now.
Redwood. All right.
You can't see the redwoods, but they're literally right there on the other side of me. And I've got some work to do. As far as just kind of cleaning up stuff in back of me. It looks like I just moved in, which I did, but everything as far as podcasting goes is good to go. I'm so pleased.
You've got fast internet.
Oh, it's
You've got
the fastest.
bright lights.
Uh-huh.
You've got space.
All of
Like,
it. I have so much space, it's stupid.
It's all a matter of just the details now.
Yeah, like even when my mom was out here, she now doesn't live far from me. She was out here yesterday, kind of helped me move stuff around. And, at one point I was like, Mom, just take Otis and just like kind of get out of my way. Cause like electronics, like you kind of have to sometimes just do it in like by yourself.
Sure. Yeah.
Cause you don't, it's too hard to explain to everybody what you need. And within about 2 hours, I was like, wow, I'm good to go.
Nice.
Did a little speed test. It is fast AF.
Nice.
It's stupid fast.
That means fast as fast
fact,
things. Kids.
That's right, as fast things. And I've been told the crew last night. I was like, I just want to do something crazy, like with all the what can I download? What can I upload?
Who wants movies?
Yeah, like just something. This is it's gigabit internet. Never had it before. I've had internet that was quite fast.
Sure.
In the past, but not this fast.
Download a car, says JSC15.
Download a car. That is a great idea. Yeah, this is 3 times as fast as anything I've ever had before. And all I had to do was just plug in that old Ethernet cable.
Wow.
God love you.
Old technology.
That's
By
right.
golly, it works.
That's right. Cable for the win.
So I wanted to check in on a couple of things that I've mentioned over the past couple of weeks. Of course, the AirPods Pro that I picked up last week. At first, this was, I think, the last day before you were back from your travels, adventures. I don't know the best way.
Yeah.
No,
I knew you got them. Yeah.
Yeah, but the first day I had them, I was with Patrick Veja on the show on Wednesday, and at the very end of GDI, I kind of bashed them. I'm like, I don't like them. But I'd had them for like 2 hours at that point. Mm-hmm. So now that I've had more time, I've grown to appreciate them better. Their noise canceling's great. It's granted, it's not the same as a Bose or anything, but it's really good. And the transparency mode is fantastic. I like. You can actually enable 3 modes. So you could have it just off where it's not doing anything, or you can have transparency and noise canceling, or any combination of those 3 where you can just automatically flip between them. I left off, which is default, because I'm like, I never want it to just be normal. I'll either want to hear the world around me a little more, which is transparency mode, or I'll want to like cut out that leaf blower, which really works, kind of scarily works. I did it today. There was a leaf blower. I was like, click, and then I didn't hear it anymore. It was amazing. So I'm really liking that. I also, I figured out what was bothering me about the fact that you squeeze them to turn it on and off instead of tap. I'm one of the few people who's never going to use Siri on this thing. I know I'm not. I don't want to have to talk to it while I'm out and about. I guess maybe in my house I will, but so then I have to use 2 fingers instead of 1.
With my Jabras, I had the same issue at the beginning where I was like, oh, okay, there are things I have to do where it's not a squeeze, it is a press, but it's a hard,
but
it's a
it
hard
requires a little
press.
force. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's a click press. And at first I was like, this is kind of weird, kind of drilling into my ear. I'm now used to it. No big deal. I also do not use any assistant with those at all. I just want them to talk to my phone. That's all I want to do.
Now, I also have problems with the design. It's now longitudinal instead of horizontal, so it looks kind of fat.
Latitudinal.
Latitudinal instead of longitudinal. Yeah, like that. What you said.
Yeah.
It just looks fatter, even though it's not that much bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And these buds are funky with the little tips on them. I know that's how they get the better fit. And they definitely have a better fit, even for me. I didn't have a problem with the old ones, but these are even better.
People have said, like, even, under duress, you cannot get these things out of your ears, which is a good thing.
But
right?
They are ugly looking with that little floppy thing, and that floppy thing comes out of your ear all warped
I don't like
and
that
stuff.
flop.
I love the old AirPods. They were just clean. That's not going to get in the way of my usage of them, but that is a part where I'm like, oh yeah, they don't look as nice as Apple stuff usually looks.
Right.
And they are hard to get out. I drop them all the time. I just dropped one right now. When I'm trying to pull them out, for some reason, it's just awkward because they're sideways. And I never had that problem with the old AirPods. I think it's because you can't really grab the rubbery part. So you have to go sideways. Then you're bumping up against the lid. I don't know. That said, sound quality is great. They work really well. Feature-wise, I've come to love them. Design-wise, not as impressed as I think I ought to be.
Although sometimes design stuff you stop caring about after about a week.
Exactly. That'll wear off. I'll just get used to it.
I've got a FedEx truck backing up into my gate. Give me just a second to make sure I know what they're doing.
Go check that out.
Yeah.
Maybe you're going to get a present.
Well, it's probably my landlord getting all the presents, but let's see.
I also have been using FireFox 70 now for about a week or so. And I definitely like it. I like the privacy blocking. The thing about it is it doesn't seem to actually handle multiple tabs as well as Chrome. So when and I use a lot of tabs. That's just the way I work. If you don't use a lot of tabs, I don't think you'll run into this at all. But when I've got 20 tabs open right now. When I start to hit 30 tabs, it starts to grind to a halt. And when I come back from sleep, a lot of the tabs take a little bit of time to kind of get back up and running, especially the Google Drive tabs, that sort of thing. So I'm not loving that about it. Everything else about it works great. And I love the cleanness. Once it's like, if I don't have too many tabs running, or if I'm not coming right back from sleep, it works really well. What is that noise?
It's a garage door opener. Oh no!
Wow. I hope there's a light. Oh, look, notice.
Goodness. All right, stay.
That wasn't quiet at all. So anyway, there's my... In a moment, we'll find out from Sarah what the FedEx guy was bringing. Certainly was not a chainsaw. You're correct, Anna Krakatawa. But it was nice to get a notice sighting there.
A notice shot.
Yeah.
An Otis notice.
Yeah, that was not me testing the noise canceling capabilities of my AirPods. It was not a chainsaw.
It was the chain on the garage door opener.
Imagine that's what it was. Yeah. It seems to be the most likely.
That's
I'm having some coffee, man. It's been that kind of day. I think it might be the time change.
You got the extra sleep in, and now you're like groggy.
It just throws me off, So I woke up a little earlier than usual because my body was thinking I was sleeping too late. But then I'm up. Yeah. Kind of great. This leads me to a question, Roger. Is it possible, or imagine it's possible, but is it easy to mute someone from your end through Streamlabs, or is that because it's through Skype?
I can mute you.
You can either mute everybody on Skype or nobody on Skype. Is that how it works?
Yes, or I can. I mean, I can individually control you, but that means I couldn't use the auto switch.
I see. I knew there was probably something. Also, you may notice, it's interesting that no one has mentioned this. Maybe I won't mention it. Well, there's something you might notice. And if you notice it, let me know. How's that? How's that for a tease?
That's why it was.
Oh, you know what I want to mention? Ryan Officer has been working for years on a portrait of all the folks on DTNS. And
oh, nice.
Yeah, print. Check it out. So it's got myself, Lamar, Allison, Len, Patrick, Roger, Sarah, Justin, Shannon, Scott, Patrick Norton, all on in kind of a group shot. Everybody's sort of doing something representational to what they do in it. It's amazing. And he's put in a lot of effort on this. So, if you see Creative Vast Arts in our Slack or our Discord or on Twitter, give him some props. Tell him you like it. And you can go to creativeastarts.com. He's selling prints.
All right, I muted you just for the last bit of the.
You muted me?
No,
you
just
muted.
Hold on. I'm lowering the volume.
Well, now I'm not sure.
Sorry about that delay.
We got to hear your door opening and closing.
Oh dear. What is it loud?
Very loud.
It is. Okay.
It was so loud that everything that Tom was saying.
This is not a thing that I'm going to do to you going forward. My landlord got a couch delivered, so I kind of had to deal with it.
Just for Tom's edification, when that was running, everything out of your mouth, you could just hear a tiny bit, but you didn't hear much.
Well, no, I figured that's why I was pretend shouting, because I figured you really couldn't hear me over it.
Terribly sorry. That should not be an issue going forward.
Well, yeah, or just mute yourself.
Is that the only way in and out?
Yes.
Of that?
No. There's a door, but I was afraid that they needed to put something in here. They didn't, but just for staging purposes. Blah blah blah. Well, so now you know what my garage door sounds like.
Yeah.
What fun, huh?
Anybody wants a sound effect sample of a garage door opening now?
I've got you covered.
I was showing off Ryan Officer's print while you were getting your stuff together. Have you actually seen? You haven't. I mean, I know you've seen it, but look, there it is.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
It's so great. It's so great. It's not everybody, but it's a lot of us.
It's almost everybody.
Yeah. It's the regulars for sure. It is great, and I am so thankful to Ryan for doing that.
All right. Once you're back and settled, I think we probably could do a show.
I am. I'm back and settled.
If you're into that.
Yeah. I mean, if that's what you still want to do today.
I mean, I could do a show.
I could do a show.
Yeah. I mean, I'd actually be kind of excited to do a show.
Oh, wait. I called it I realize now I've thought about this a few times. Well, we'll just see how it goes.
Go with whatever moves you.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Here we go. In 3, 2. Coming up on DTNS, Adobe brings Photoshop and Illustrator to the iPad. Microsoft sets a launch date for the new Chromium-based Edge browser and has some new jobs for Cortana, and using Glass for long-term data storage. This is the Daily Tech News for Monday, November 4th, 2019. In Los Angeles, I'm Tom Merritt.
And from the brand new Studio Redwood, I'm Sarah Lane.
And I'm Roger Chang, the show's producer.
Wow, so you have a new... Are you trying this out, or is that the name of your new studio?
I don't know. I didn't even really know what I was going to say until I said it. But and you can't see any redwoods because I'm in my own garage. But I assure you there are many right around me. And yeah, I feel like that's appropriate. I think we're going to go with Studio Redwood.
Studio Redwood. All right.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, folks, if you want to find out a little more about what's going on in Sarah's garage, definitely get Good Day Internet. I also had some updates on my thoughts on the AirPods Pro and FireFox 70. To get Good Day Internet, become a member at patreon.com/DTNS. Let's start with a few tech things you should know.
Russia's sovereign internet law went into effect on Friday. The law requires all ISPs to route traffic through state-controlled infrastructure and sets up a framework for national system of domain names. The Kremlin has said that this sovereign internet law was designed as a security measure to allow Russia to operate internal networks without access to the World Wide Web in the event of an emergency or a cyber attack.
Sure, that's all it's for. The research firms Canalys and Strategy Analytics both report that global smartphone shipments increased in Q3, estimates of a 1 or 2% increase, respectively. This represents the first quarterly increase in 2 years. Samsung and Huawei took the top 2 spots, growing shipments 8 and 29%, respectively. So not bad for Huawei. That's according to Strategy Analytics. Apple, Xiaomi, and Oppo rounded out the top 5, but all saw declining shipments on the year.
ByteDance, parent company of TikTok, perhaps you've heard of it, launched its first phone called the Smartisan Django Pro 3 with the TikTok app conveniently accessed from the lock screen. So it's pretty, part of the whole deal. Back in January, ByteDance acquired a number of patents from Smartisan, which is a Chinese phone maker. And halfway through the year, rumors started buzzing about a Smartisan ByteDance phone, which now officially exists, but only in China.
Do you remember how crazy people got about the idea of a Facebook phone several years back?
Yeah.
And now TikTok.
Right. Yeah. Like how would it be, but like Facebook, as part of the whole infrastructure, like that's crazy. Well,
TikTok just takes a few months of rumors and boom, they've got one.
That's right.
That's how you do it. All right. Let's talk a little more about Airbnb.
Yeah. So crazy story. On Halloween last week, a house party at a house that was rented on Airbnb resulted in a shooting and the death of 5 people. This was in the Bay Area. So Saturday, Airbnb CEO Brian Chesky tweeted that the company is banning house parties and taking steps to, quote, combat unauthorized parties and get rid of abusive hosts and guest conduct, end quote. Airbnb will expand screening of high-risk reservations and create a dedicated house party rapid response team.
Now, real quickly, I am not the kind of person that says, why didn't you do this earlier? Because sometimes you just do it when it's necessary. However, the fact that they are announcing this after deaths bothers me. It really bothers me. This should have been something that Airbnb was saying, we had a policy in place and the failure of that policy led us to revise the policy and look at it. Not, we're going to start finally cracking down on this. People have been complaining about Airbnb rentals being used as house party locations for years. This is not new. And it shouldn't have taken this to cause them to take extra action, in my opinion.
What's very interesting about the timing of this story is, so where I live now, I am in my own space. I'm in my own garage. I got an apartment, but on the same property is an Airbnb location.
Mm-hmm.
My landlords will be here and there. But for the most part, it is a money-making operation. And, I'm kind of part of that whole thing. I'm going to sort of be, on the ground, helping people, if they, need to find keys or whatever, once they're here. So this is something that I am embracing. At the same time, we've had a lot of conversations, my landlord and I and, a couple other people kind of involved, been like, what is our party policy? I don't want people partying on the, grounds just because I don't want, noise because I'm an old lady. But at the same time, it's like, you have to think of safety stuff. Like what are we really willing to allow? And I think that in many cases, the money-making aspect of Airbnb, and it's not just Airbnb, it could be VRBO or HomeAway, or there are other services, but Airbnb is kind of the big one at this point. There are lots of policies in place that a landlord might have, which you're supposed to adhere to, but if they're not around, you kind of do what you want. And that's why we're getting into these situations like this. Not that anybody should be shooting each other on any premises ever. That's obviously horrible, but just saying, hey, you can't have 7 people over. Like, that's not cool. Is there someone there to make sure that you're not doing that?
Well, vacation rentals aren't new. And I've done vacation rentals not through Airbnb in places like I've done them through VRBO in Hawaii. I've done vacation rentals through Airbnb in Palm Springs. And when they are managed responsibly, it's very clear to you. Palm Springs particularly is very clear about this because they're near the Coachella thing.
Sure, yeah.
That you are not allowed to do certain things. And they make it upfront super clear. They make you sign a separate contract. The problem here is Airbnb hasn't done enough for the casual people who are like, oh, I guess I can just rent out my house. Cool. To do things to protect against abuse of the policies. And I'm glad to see that they are now. But
you're right. It should have been done earlier. And it is, it's a horrible situation that happened at this particular residence. But yeah, it's on Airbnb. This is a company that makes so much money off of people trying to make a little cash off of, being away from home and letting other people in there. Have to have a policy for things like this.
We'll get to more on the Microsoft Ignite stories in a minute, but here's one of the less practical, more far-reaching ones. Microsoft and Warner Brothers announced storing the movie Superman, the original movie from the 80s, on a square glass disc that is 7.5 centimeters on a side and about 2 millimeters thick, about the size of a typical coaster. The new storage medium is the result of Project Silica. That's a partnership between Microsoft and the University of Southampton Optoelectronics Research Center to create durable, long-term cold storage. Cold storage is when you need to have your bits saved somewhere that you don't have to access through the cloud. You don't have to access them all the time, but you don't want them to degrade. You don't want to have to go back and make sure that they don't fall apart. So with this new disk, a laser burns small geometric shapes called voxels into the glass with multiple bits in each voxel in 74 or more layers within the glass. 74 layers for Superman. They say they can have more. To read the data, light is shined through the glass onto microscope-like readers, which use machine learning to interpret the data. The glass is very durable. That's not easily shattered. And it holds up over time. And they microwaved it and froze it and did all kinds of stuff to make sure it's durable. Microsoft still needs to unify read and write into a single device for this and increase the storage capacity. I think it's still less than a terabyte before it becomes a viable product. But this is a great demo. This is a great concept piece.
Hey, man. I mean, in the age of everything being in the cloud, to have a physical storage medium that is better than what we've had in the past is still really cool.
Yeah, and especially for long-term storage, which is, oftentimes used on tape, or this Variety article about this talks about preserving film and how they have to do humidity, temperature control to make sure that films going all the way back to the 1920s, in Warner Brothers' case, don't degrade and are still able to be used to be scanned in and make new versions of. This glass medium makes that a lot easier. It's not going to be perfect for everything. You're not going to store your film stuff on that because you want the original film prints if they were shot in film. But video games, 4K stuff, you might want to have alternate ways of storing it. And this is a great example of that.
The Internet Archive wants to make it easier for Wikipedia readers to look up citations of books. The organization is working to provide a 2-page preview when clicking on a book title or a citation, as long as it has a page number. Users will be able to check out the digital book for up to 2 weeks if it isn't already checked out. The finite books.
Only one at a time, basically. It's not going to be piracy.
That's right. Yeah. Roughly 130,000 citations across languages have been linked to 50,000 books as part of the project so far. So has some work to do, but still, it's moving in the right direction.
Yeah, one of the things that archive.org has going for it is that it is in fact a licensed library, unlike Google. I don't know, Google might have gotten that now, but they are a library. They follow fair use procedures, and they have a large enough organization, and they've been doing this long enough that they can say what we're doing is fair use. You can complain all you want. Come at us if you want, I guess, but we'd rather you didn't. We're not trying to undermine your sales or your marketplace. We're trying to make information accessible. And as far as a Wikipedia user goes, a lot of times when you see a book citation, you're just sort of like, yeah, I guess I could go try to find that book in a library somewhere, but I'm not. Whereas this allows you to click on it and see the relevant passage. I think this is amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. As a person who I use Wikipedia for fact checking with a grain of salt, but for the most part, it's pretty robust. This allows me to have, that much more sort of, I don't know, satisfaction that there is an infrastructure behind it that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's, people make a lot of fun jokes about Wikipedia because it's editable by anybody and all of that.
Right. Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, a lot of studies have found that Wikipedia is generally as accurate, or in a lot of cases more accurate than traditional encyclopedias and similar kinds of sources, because it has a really strong moderation policy.
That's right. And yes, you get you get a little bad actor action in Wikipedia, but for the most part, you don't. For the most part, it's pretty good stuff.
The bad actor activity gets all the headlines, right? And so there's a representation bias there.
But yeah,
thinking
there's very
like, it's all full of misinformation, whereas it's way less misinformation on Wikipedia than there is on Twitter or Facebook.
Yeah, I'll say.
Well, folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. All right, we're going to talk about Microsoft Ignite. We're going to talk about Adobe Max. Let's take a look at some of the big announcements coming out of Ignite first. Microsoft announced that the new version of its Edge browser, built on the Chromium engine, will launch on January 15th. That's going to be on Windows 7, 8, and 10, and Mac OS. Microsoft put out a release candidate of Edge today. You could get a beta before. Now you can get the total RC. Microsoft also unveiled a new logo for Edge. So goodbye Blue E. Doesn't look like Internet Explorer anymore. Looks more like a circular wave now.
That seems like the right move.
Yeah.
Yes. Different browser. Different life.
I mean, it's not radically different, but it's different enough that it won't give you the shakes if you have IE 10, IE 6 problems still in your veins. Along with the expected features like password sync and tracking protection, the Edge release candidate has Microsoft Search in Bing built in. So you can find intranet searches, things like your coworkers, office locations, building plans, right from the address bar. Edge is definitely being positioned towards the workplace.
Yeah. In fact, when I read the sort of feature list, I was sort of like, okay. I mean, how does this change sort of the average user? It doesn't really seem to change the average user all that much, but in the workplace, it would be it's much more handy.
Microsoft released an Office app for Android and iOS that combines Word, Excel, and PowerPoint into one app, with the ability to create new documents by scanning text or tables from your phone, along with all the other things that all three separate apps could do before. The app is also smaller than the three separate apps combined because there's some efficiency there. Office for iOS is launching in public preview and only for phones. No tablet support yet.
Gotta love this. Anything that is, it depends on how it works for me, which I haven't really tried out too much, but anything that is sort of a suite of apps that I know I'm going to use in conjunction a lot together within one app that is mobile focused, I am into, rather than switching between all of those apps all the time.
I've never had a big problem with Word, Excel on my tablet, mostly being separate. Also, this is only for the phone, so I'm probably not going to really use it. I'll install it and see.
Yeah.
Microsoft is adding Cortana to Outlook for iOS in the US, with Android set to get it in spring. Among the features, you can ask Cortana to play my emails And then you can tell Cortana to archive an email or flag an email. You can also have Cortana read your calendar invites. You'll need to wear headphones in order to take advantage of these features. Cortana also comes with a male-sounding voice option now, along with upgrades to make both the female and male voices sound more natural. Cortana will also create a daily email that summarizes meetings and important documents. That's an email. It's not something it's going to read to you. It's just going to the agent will send it to you. And a new scheduler feature lets you CC Cortana into an email thread and tell Cortana to set a meeting at the location, time, and duration you want, or even just say, find a time when all of us on this thread can meet.
You know, Microsoft sort of downgrading Cortana into something that was, mostly for the workplace, and we're going to build it, kind of focus building it into Windows and all that stuff. These are welcome changes. If you're a Cortana fan, if this is something assistant that you use, these are really welcome changes. It would probably take a little bit of, getting used to the idea of, adding Cortana to an email and then, telling him or her later to do something, this or that. But it's cool. These are cool features.
I used to use an intelligent assistant to schedule meetings. It worked most of the time. I imagine Microsoft has improved on that. That was like 3 or 4 years ago now. And so I think that could be a huge time saver for people. Microsoft also announced Azure FarmBeats in public preview in the Azure Marketplace. FarmBeats takes in data from sensors, satellites, drones, and weather stations and uses machine learning to evaluate the data and make recommendations for farmers.
Normally I'd be like, farmers, I don't know any of them, but I'm surrounded by them now. At Studio Redwood, where we are farm central. So I'm going to walk around my neighborhood after the show's over today and be like, hey, y'all, do you like this? You like this idea?
You got a lot of sensors.
You want this? Yeah.
I mean, this is really useful if people are having a hard time figuring out how to integrate all this data. A lot of farms are using this kind of data, but they may be looking at it in like 7 different places. And if this can easily bring it all together and make more sense of it, that's a potentially very useful thing. A few more things of note out of Ignite. Microsoft is also integrating Outlook and Yammer into Teams. Teams is Microsoft's Slack competitor, if you don't know. Also adding private channels and pinned channels coming later this year. The Azure Blockchain Tokens platform was announced. It wants to make building a blockchain with tokens as easy for a business as plugging in a printer. So if you've got an idea that you could...
I don't know if that's a great, parameter, but okay.
Okay, before you laugh, if there's a lot of companies who are like, I know exactly what I would use blockchain for. I know what this token is for. It's not about finances, right? It's about, we have this tracking system. We have this logistics system, maybe even an accounting system. And if we had tokens on a blockchain, we would be able to track that more easily. This is going to make that super simple. So they don't have to go, but where do I start? Who would I hire to make this? They would be able to just say, I'm already an Azure customer. Let me plug that in, and suddenly I'm able to use this. This is not about like launching an ICO, if that's what people are thinking. Project Cortex launched in private preview. It uses machine learning to find important information in documents, and when the algorithm thinks it's relevant, makes those available as hover links in apps like Office, Outlook, and Teams. General availability of Project Cortex is expected in the first half of 2020.
That part of it, I'm sort of like, I don't know what it would highlight, but that sounds great. It's, kind of along the lines of when Gmail started wanting to autocorrect our sentences. Some people were like, I hate it. Horrible. Turn it off. I love it. I love any help I can get. So, I welcome these sort of experiments. If
there was an email from someone saying, in the RFP, and then there was just a little hover like, hey, did you want to check the RFP real quick? Like, that's the kind of thing I could see.
Exactly. There you go.
All right, let's shift gears to Adobe Max. Adobe Max is happening too. Here's a few of the they're noble. I think they're very noble, but they're also notable announcements out there. Adobe has launched version 1.0 of Photoshop for the iPad.
Woo, it happened!
It has been redesigned for the tablet, centers on compositing, retouching, and masking. Not all the tools from Photoshop made it in, and everybody can find their favorite tool that hasn't made it in and complain about it if they want. But Adobe says this is just the first version. They focused on the most common tasks, and they're going to continually add features over time. They're going to have frequent updates, adding features all year long and beyond. It has a toolbox along the left, layers along the right, along with editing tools like brightness, contrast, hue, saturation. There's also panels to make image adjustments with layer masks, gradients, and blend modes. It's built from the same code base as desktop Photoshop, and it supports the cloud PSD format, so your edits can be synced across desktop and tablet versions. Photoshop for iPad is available to Adobe Creative Cloud customers paying for a plan that includes Photoshop, and those start at around $9.99 a month.
Well, so I pay for a $30 per month Creative Cloud account, which includes Photoshop and a couple of other things. I assume that if I had an iPad Pro, say, which I don't, it's Christmas soon, everybody. But if I did, that would be a great option. What I wonder is, and I use Photoshop. I am not a Photoshop whiz by any sense, but I know how to do a certain amount of things to, create a certain result, which I use for another line of work that I do. How many people will sign up for Photoshop accounts based on the fact that the iPad is now offered? I feel like this is really a secondary thing for people who already have Creative Cloud accounts.
Yeah, this is to keep people happy. This is like keep people from dropping their subscription because they're like, what I really need is to have it on a tablet. It's to extend Photoshop for those people who are like, I use Photoshop, I need to use Photoshop, I want to use it on my iPad.
Yeah.
Adobe also showed off Illustrator for iPad, set for release sometime next year. Illustrator will have tablet-specific interface and support for Apple Pencil. Adobe also mentioned features like taking a photo with the iPad and then converting it right into vector shapes.
Well, I wish I had more to say about Illustrator. It's always been a real mystery to me. But yeah, no, this is great. I pulled a designer friend of mine this morning and said, okay, we've heard the rumors. These, a lot of these tools I will not personally use. Do you care? And he was like, this is a big deal, Sarah.
Yeah.
This is a big deal.
And a lot of the stuff we said about needing Photoshop on the iPad, same for Illustrator. This is the folks who are happy about Photoshop today are hopefully overlapping quite a bit with this crowd. But those who just wanted Illustrator have a little bit of time to wait, but at least they got some hope. Adobe's augmented reality app Aero is out today for free on iOS. You can import files from Dimension, Photoshop, Illustrator, and even non-Adobe apps like Maya and C4D to create interactive augmented reality experiences without having to know how to code them. You can place objects and scale them, add animation triggers, and draw paths for objects to follow. It uses the USDZ file format, so your Aero projects can be sent to friends on iMessage, and they'll just work.
Well, that name Aero has new life in a whole different place.
This is a way to expand the number of people using augmented reality stuff, right? To say, it's kind of like the blockchain thing, except in a different space, to say, hey, I've got an idea for augmented reality. I know what it would look like because I'm a designer, but I don't want to have to figure out a new code language for this. Well,
exactly. Yeah. Like I have got a bunch of photos in Photoshop. Like, can I just sort of like send them to Aero and see what I can do? Yeah. That's the idea.
3D models, all that stuff.
Totally.
Adobe launched a free Photoshop camera app for Android and iOS that uses Adobe's Sensei AI to recognize the subjects in a photo and then suggest filters to apply based on that. Their big example was a mountain range where it suggested filters that would change out the sky into other stuff so you could make cool looking landscapes. Filters can be used while composing a shot or added to a photo that's already been taken, so you can do it either way. Manual adjustment tools let you tweak it if you want, and you can select from curated lenses. I think who was it? Billie Eilish has one of the curated lenses right now for Adobe, but you can also make your own in Photoshop.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, and I don't know. I mean, there's so many camera apps out there, and I think a lot of us, we're sort of stuck in our Instagram life. But you know what? Not your only option. Lots of other options out there, and Adobe with any photo filter app is going to be The best of the best. Haven't tried it out yet, but I'm excited to.
Yeah, this is for like you want Photoshop level capabilities, but you don't want to go into Photoshop, or you don't know how to use Photoshop.
Exactly. I mean, I think, myself included, Photoshop is, arguably Adobe's biggest product. It is very, it scares people because it's so robust that most of us kind of go like, I want to use Photoshop. I want to use some other little filter app. This is the perfect way for Adobe to win both ways.
A few other announcements to note from Adobe Max. The Fresco drawing and painting app launched on iPad is now available for Windows as part of a Creative Cloud subscription. The Adobe Premiere Rush video editing app is now the first third-party app that can publish to TikTok. That's the other part of this news, is TikTok will now let you publish videos into it. You don't have to use the TikTok app. And Adobe Premiere Rush is the first one to do it. And design prototyping software Adobe XD introduced a real-time co-editing feature in beta so that you can collaborate on when you're working on a prototype in Adobe XD. But
well,
really,
Tom and Roger, I can't wait for your TikToks to really uptick now that you have different ways to publish them.
I feel my age when I look at TikTok. That's what I'll say.
Oh my gosh. I know. Yeah. I got some friends who are like, oh, this is addictive. I could do this all day. And I'm like, don't even want to open it. Don't even want to open it.
I opened TikTok this morning after this story. And what I saw was a woman being asked if she spoke Spanish. As she rang someone up at a counter, and then she said no, and then the person said something insulting in Spanish, walked out of frame, and a guy behind him said, "I'm not an expert, but I think that means he thinks you're beautiful." I'm like, what?
And that's probably some meme that we just don't get. That like lots of other people are like, haha, I see what you did there. Yeah, I don't know. Totally. It's all become, we're old. Sorry, we're just old.
Well, I'm gonna download Adobe Premiere Rush and start my TikTok career.
There you go. Hey, thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. You can submit stories. Sometimes they're about TikTok. Most of the time they're about other things, but we love all of your submissions. Vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. You can also join our group. We're in Discord, where you can link to at patreon.com/DTNS.
All right, let's check out the mailbag.
Let's do it. Jess Galloway wrote in and said, your discussion of landlines, this was from last week, being powered even when the power goes out and how they may still not be available, this was on the Thursday and Friday shows, was great. Jess says, here in Dallas, Texas AT&T will not provide a landline anymore. They'll only provide voice over IP, which does need power to both the home and to AT&T's equipment near the home. It seems to me that AT&T should be made to at least provide backup power to their equipment. It doesn't help me to have a generator or battery backup if AT&T is down. Same goes for cell towers.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people suggest alternatives, landline being one of them, ham radio being another. But in my opinion, while those are all great suggestions, it shouldn't shift the responsibility away from the carriers to say, you should think of a way to have backup power for your emergency response situations, because a lot of people will be using your product. Backup power on landline wasn't designed in. It's sort of a happy accident, as I understand it, that the way it runs, there's always a little bit of power in the line. And it was like, oh, hey, this is great. So now your phone will still work even if the power goes out, because there's a little bit of power just in the way the system was designed. Maybe it was a consideration in the building of telephone lines. Maybe it wasn't. But the point is, you still could have a resilient mobile system that doesn't have to be landlines. Yes, there's sort of if you want to take things into your own hands, there are things you can do to protect yourself, and that's great. But we shouldn't let that take the pressure off of companies to be like, there is technology to have a way for these systems to be resilient in an emergency and still work. We've seen that in multiple disaster relief situations, Puerto Rico, Hurricane Katrina, et cetera, where volunteer organizations will come in and set up networks to get service back and working. So let's think of that ahead of time and build it into the design. That's what I have to say.
Well, shout out to our patrons who also have lots of things to say, and thank goodness for you. At our master and grandmaster levels, especially, including Paul Moyer, Dustin R. Campbell, and Andrew Bradley.
That's Paul Boyer.
Paul Boyer. What did I say?
You said Moyer, which was my science teacher when I was growing up, Mr. Moyer.
I don't even know him, Mr. Moyer. Sorry, Paul. Paul Boyer.
So, but thank you to Paul Boyer, and thank you to Jerry Moyer, who taught me science in 5th and 6th grade.
That's right. Together you are giant.
Yes, exactly. And hey, we have new Patreon rewards. A few people have been asking me, where's that cookbook? And I say, it's on Patreon. If you turned off the email alerts of Patreon, then you didn't get an email telling you that the cookbook had been posted there. But there's an easy fix. Go to patreon.com/DTNS, scroll down to see the cookbook headline, and then you can download it there at patreon.com/DTNS. That is for people who signed up before October 31st. But if you haven't signed up yet, there's still lots of cool stuff, including the Grandmaster and Masters that we just shouted out also get free shipping at everything at our store at dailytechnewsshow.com/store. So there's a code for that up on Patreon if you're at the Master and Grandmaster level. So check all this out. It's all available at patreon.com/DTNS.
Your feedback helps us make our show great. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. That's 21:30 UTC. Just changed. Hope everybody's dealing with the time change in places in the world that had to deal with it. You can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live.
Back tomorrow with Patrick Norton. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
I was late on the music. My gosh.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
I was busy changing the template to be correct on the UTC. Good eye, Sarah.
This is, if there's anything, like, if you have, any sort of personal crusade in life, mine is standard versus daylight time. So these are things that I cannot ignore, and I will not. And I know them inside my body. So yeah, it's 21:30 UTC. How about that, everybody? Here we are.
Wait a minute. Didn't I? No, I didn't. It was me. I was thinking that the glass cold storage would fall to you. And then you would have to read centimeters and millimeters, but it ended up falling to me. So,
yes. I don't know, anybody who's on the video feed of this, look at poor Odie and how sad he is, just sort of sitting in the garage on his little, in his little corner. He's like,
"Why?"
Well, we haven't actually unpacked my the crate.
Oh, so he wants
the crate will go back by the fridge, and he'll have his own. The little Sarah Pinata isn't gonna last very long, but yeah, he'll have a little space. For now, he's like, this sucks. I hate it.
He misses his crate. He likes his little house.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! I mean, his crate is the best. We don't really have room for it in the new place. So the crate's going to be down here, but that's okay because we're going to be down here most of the day, honestly.
Right.
It just hasn't happened yet. Poor little bud. I'm sorry.
Oh, buck up, Odie. You'll be fine.
Buck up. You'll be fine.
He's probably not as sad as he looks either. He's just got a resting sad face.
Which is the last time I saw Tom and Eileen was like, does Otis ever smile? And I'm like, that's just kind of his face.
It's just his look.
I mean, if he was panting, he would look like he was smiling. But, that kind of is how all dogs are, right?
Well, let's look at some titles at dtns.showbot.tv. Archive.org, citations wanted. Get it? Or citations needed, sorry. As easy as plugging in a printer. Mr. Putin, tear down this firewall. Microsoft launches a circular wave. Microsoft launch a circular wave. Microsoft's on fire at Ignite. Rushing into a TikTok career. That's pretty funny. Thank you, Tom, science teacher.
That's more of a GDI.
Sarah, the Airbnb house mom.
Well, we'll see how good I am at that. Come on up, everybody. Stay at my home. I'll clean your sheets when you leave.
Cortana mans up because it's.
Yeah. What about Airbnb? Airbnb is no longer where the party's at. Where the party is at. The party.
Ooh, I don't know. It's about 5.
Yeah, gun jokes.
I don't feel
Can't
comfortable
do gun jokes.
making Airbnb jokes.
No.
I think that we got to play that one pretty straight.
Why won't this load for me? It's weird. Showbot will not load.
DTNS.showbot.tv won't load.
Well, I'm looking at GDI.showbot.tv.
Mm-hmm.
Let me try DTNS.
Now you can TikTok. That's pretty funny.
Rushing into a TikToker is not bad either.
I like that one too.
Checking salty facts. Why are they salty?
Yeah, I'm shut out of Showbot for
all the Showbot.
No, just type dtns.showbot.tv.
I did. I did.
What does it say to you?
Connecting.
We obviously have internet because you're talking to us.
Yeah. I mean, my internet's great. There's something about Showbot that we don't like.
I'm going to give you, it may be the redirect. It may not be handling the redirect well, so I'm going to give you the source URL in Slack. Try that.
Okay. Let's sure.
TikTok career. Rushing into TikTok career.
Rushing into TikTok.
Yeah.
Career. Yeah, sure. I could do that. I don't know if we've given Sarah a fair chance to.
Oh.
I stand in solidarity with you.
All right. Lawn Makes. Congratulations.
Yay. It loaded just really slowly.
Lawn Makes is, of course, the person who submitted Rushing into a TikTok Career, which all of you watching this on demand already knew was the title of today's DTNS. GDI.showbot.tv to watch us pick the second one if you're watching live. Sarah live from Studio Redwood. Welcome to Studio Redwood. Fast in the past, but not this fast.
What does that mean?
About your internet.
Oh.
I think you may have said that word for word. Like, my internet's been fast in the past, but not this fast.
Not this fast. It's true. Oh my gosh. My internet is so fast.
Download the internet.
I just want to break laws. It's so fast.
We have not a chainsaw, which is what we were saying when your garage door was opening.
So which kind of goes back to
certainly
our GDI best of October.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's so loud. I actually had no idea.
Certainly not a chainsaw. I think that's good.
That's good.
Certainly not a chainsaw.
Yeah, that's great.
Stoic Squirrel submitted that one. Certainly not a chainsaw, which of course most of you know was the title of today's Good Day Internet. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stoic Squirrel. So I've got, speaking of squirrels, above my bed is a big skylight. It's beautiful. Like you kind of, you could close it if you wanted to, but I believe
it's got a I want to say a shield, but it's got like a thing you can.
It does, yeah. If you wanted to,
shutter maybe.
It wouldn't really shut out the light, but you could, have more privacy, whatever. But you're just looking up at the stars, and a couple nights now because I've only been here for a few days, less than a week. So I'm kind of tossing and turning a little bit, and I've sort of rolled onto my back and looked up and been like, wow, look at all the stars. This is really cool. Like really embracing, the fact that the skylight is there. It's cool. It's kitschy and strange and cool. Well, this morning. And again, with the time change, I'm trying to be very quiet and still so that Lucy isn't bothering me at 5:30 when she normally would be bothering me at 6:30. And anybody with an animal knows what I'm talking about, because they just wait till the sun comes up and then they bother you. So I'm kind of it's probably probably 6 a.m., and it's still pretty dark outside, but I can see that the sun is coming up a little bit, and I've kind of got everything, I'm in a little cocoon, just don't let Lucy know that you're awake. And all of a sudden, a squirrel gets onto the skylight and just sits there.
Oh my gosh.
And looks at us.
Oh my gosh. Ray, my dog Ray would try to get to the skylight if that were the case.
It was, and you kind of heard like a little rustle, where I was sort of like, what is that? And I look and I'm like, oh gosh. Oh, it's an angry squirrel, just sort of like waiting for the new tenants to be in the place. So
he's like, I've had this place all to myself.
That's right.
What are you doing here?
And Lucy's on the bed, and she kind of looks at him like, whatever, you're a squirrel. But Otis was like, oh, what do I do? And at that point I was like, all right, we're all getting up. This is crazy.
Yeah.
But so the skylight, it's a beautiful place for respite at times, and other times it is a war zone. And now I know.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, do you need to put something up there to keep them off? I imagine they're not.
You can't.
They don't weigh enough to.
Well, the skylight weirdly it's very hard to explain this little area that my bed is in, but the skylight is almost level. Like it's not like part of an A-frame.
Uh-huh. I'm just thinking, they put those little spikes on gutters sometimes to keep the birds from landing. Could you just surround the skylight with like a little fence?
I guess. I almost I don't even really want the squirrels not to, be able to run across the roof. Like, I don't even really care about that, but I'm like, that was just very jarring to me. At that particular moment this morning where I'm like, oh my God, and squirrels can be a little, like they'll look at you, and they kind of like look through your soul and you're like, what is wrong?
Oh yeah. And then they chatter at you like, they always sound angry.
Yeah. Like they're antagonistic.
I don't have, I have someone between me and squirrels now. I don't ever come across a squirrel undefended anymore now that Ray, my dog, is in my life, because she will notice a squirrel well before I do and get after it. She's getting much better about not barking and lunging when she sees other dogs, which was a problem for a while. Yeah. But she's still like, and with squirrels, like with a dog, I think she's like letting me know there's another dog. So she'll kind of stay next to me and just maybe start to like jump or something. Yeah. And that we're getting that under control. Actually making a lot of good progress there. She's doing well. But the squirrels, she doesn't say a thing. All of a sudden, my arm just goes straight out, I turn and I see like, she's running after a squirrel.
It's funny. Otis has gotten better with the squirrels. I've talked about this on GDI in the past. The way that he's gotten better with cats who are just outside cats, because he doesn't really know the difference. He's just sort of like, that's a creature that isn't on a leash. Why is it running up a tree? This is crazy. So he's not really trying to run after them, but he gets agitated. And there are, on our property, I'm on quite a large property. There's so many trees. There are a lot of squirrels you see running up and down the redwood trees. And I mean, those redwood trees are 100 feet high. I'm not even kidding. It's crazy. And he's just sort of like looking at me like, what in the heck is going on here? But he doesn't really want to get them. He's just not he's not serene. Right. Seeing the little, creatures run around.
No, it's interesting. Sawyer hunts them. So when we're on a walk and he knows he can't get them, he might kind of be like, hey, couldn't we, I don't know, squirrel, but he doesn't lunge or anything. But if there's one in the backyard, now he doesn't do this as much anymore because Ray beats him to it, to be honest. But before Ray came along, Sawyer saw a squirrel, he would just like beeline for it and be like, I'm going to catch that thing. And he did once.
And
that squirrel is no longer with us.
Oh, dear.
May it rest in squirrely peace.
Rest in squirrely peace. I have no problem with squirrels. I like squirrels. They're fine.
Thank you, Beatmaster.
Thanks, Beatmaster. I don't really want a squirrel to run across my my cool skylight and scare the entire house.
Yeah.
But I assume that will continue to happen. So it goes. I'll put in earplugs when I go to bed, I guess.
Beatmaster is headed out the door, but he reminded us that R2B2 subscribed with Twitch Prime. They've subscribed for 3 months on a 2-month streak. Stoic Squirrel subscribed at tier 1, 3 months, currently on a 3-month streak. Zoe Brings Bacon at tier 1, 6 months on a 6-month streak, 6 months of bringing bacon. BioCow tier 1, 6 months on a 6-month streak. Me shows off just because he wants to be like Zoe Brings Bacon / me. Ancy B, Grandmaster and CB subscribing at tier 3, 7 months, a 7-month streak. That's OG. Have we been doing this for 7 months on Twitch now? That's crazy.
Gosh, it doesn't seem like it's been that long, but I guess.
Yeah, apparently we have. Can you open your garage door again for me?
Yes. Do you want me to?
No.
Okay. I can do. It's just a little...
Thrumwall just subscribed to tier 1. Subscribed for 4 months. Well done. Zoe Brings Bacon says, I thought I subscribed on the day you started streaming. So it's a mystery how NCB got 7 months. Because, yeah, we started June 1st, right? So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This would be the 6th month. How did he do it? He must have subscribed to my Twitch channel before it was the Good Day Internet channel. Because it used to be twitch.tv/acedetect. And then we changed the name. Oh, Craigo says I subbed early. So, yeah, a few people may have subbed early. Which, thank you. That's awesome.
You know what's really weird? I don't know. Well, no, I wouldn't have told you guys about this because this is the first time I've been down here. But so I've got a big old HVAC, heat supplier to my house. It's ridiculously large for the size of the house, but we're like within 5 minutes, if it's 50 degrees, it'll be 80.
Boom. Yeah. You're wrong.
It's great, but it's, you kind of look at it over on the side, you're like, whoa, that's big. Weirdly, because where I am now, I am under my house. My garage is under my.
It's like a 2-story thing, right?
Exactly, and so it doesn't really. And there, I thought that there was heat in here, but there isn't. And so I was like, well, I'll get a space heater or whatever. Not a problem.
I see that.
But right, but that my mom got that for me. But it's hot in here.
Uh-huh.
I mean, not like crazy hot, but like it's as if I am warming it down here because my heat is on upstairs.
Huh.
Why? Heat rises. Doesn't make any sense. But for some reason, it's warm in here.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you live in a place that defies physics.
That's right. Where up is down and down is up.
Is it
It's kind of like the mystery spot.
Does it basically have a giant fan that constantly blows the hot air, or is it
up in my apartment? Again, weirdly, they're all floor vents, but they're like 1, 2, 3, 4. They're like 7 of them in a relatively small apartment.
So it's forced air.
Again,
they blow hot air up through the vents.
Yeah. But again, that's all above me. So you'd think that I wouldn't really get very warm down here, but it's warm down here. So I'm wondering, I don't know, do I just, is there so much up above that it just is warming up this garage? Because
is it coming down you have stairs, right? That go up to your apartment?
The stairs are outside.
Oh.
So yeah, you gotta go outside and then around to get into, from one to the other. So it's not that.
It could just be very well insulated with the lights and the
I guess.
The garage studio is insulated, right?
It is. Yeah. No, it is.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
I still think you're probably on a mystery spot.
Or the ducting runs through. Well, if you have floor vents, so the ducting runs through the garage somewhere, like in the ceiling.
I mean, the definitely the ceiling of the garage is where all of the heat is going upstairs. So, okay, you're going to get a little residual heat, right? But not that much.
Well, once you saturate a place, it's just
hot down here. It's as if there's like a hidden vent somewhere.
It might be. But there might actually be a vent somewhere along one of those ducts that dump out into the garage.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
I looked pretty hard.
Whatever the heater is using for the heat might be coming up through the walls of the garage.
Yeah.
Or it's a mystery spot.
Or it's a mystery
that defies the laws of physics.
You should sell tickets. And then make bumper stickers like in Santa Cruz, the mystery spot. You'll just have
yeah, right. And
Sarah's
everyone else is like, what's that? And no one can tell you.
Yeah, and no joke. Like you opened that garage earlier too. You would think that would have just let any hot air that built up out, but
well, it's also weirdly, I don't know, man. I got to get used to Sonoma County again. For anybody who's not familiar with this part of the world, it is like 85 degrees outside right now. But in the morning, it's about 35.
Well, that's why it's warm now, because you're probably just warm. Yeah.
But I kind of, I've been in and out of here enough where, the heat is on upstairs and, I come in here and I'm like, oh, this is warm.
And someone asked that space heater is unplugged behind you. It would.
Oh yeah, no, the space heater is just my mom brought it for me, and I was like, Mom, I don't even need it.
Yeah. So it's 80 outside and your heat's on. That would make it really warm.
Well, it's okay. It's 80 outside, like in Santa Rosa, which is like a couple towns over. Like it's not probably 80 outside right now.
Okay.
My point is, in the morning when I get up at 6, it's chilly. Like you got to wear gloves. Like it's cold.
Right.
But it heats up real like fast. I mean, yeah, like there's a huge, like in LA, you kind of like, maybe it's 65 at night and 75 during the day. Here it's like there's like a difference of 40 degrees every day. Just, based on when the sun goes down. So you just kind of have to get used to it.
So if it's not the insulation, if it's not the heater in the walls, if it's not just the ambient temperature of the outside,
no,
it's probably a convergence of ley lines. That's my guess.
Probably.
Yeah, it's probably some kind of mystical, unique spot.
I'm in a mystery spot. Well, I mean, I am. Trust me. Anybody who gets out here will agree. But yeah, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, why is this so well heated?
It might be a hellmouth. No, I don't mean that in a bad way.
I mean, I love it. I don't care. Whatever. I got so much room in here. It's so cool. I got a fridge.
Nibbled says don't get a Ouija board, but you might get a Ouija board and just ask it, like, why is it so warm in here? And see what it says.
I don't feel like that's what Ouija boards do. Like you have to like talk to someone beyond the grave.
Well,
that's what Ouija boards are for. You don't say like, hey, Ouija board, why is my garage
Ghosty, do you know why it's warm in my garage, Ghosty? And then see what they say.
I mean, okay, I'll try.
What could it hurt?
Actually, okay, this is so crazy. So Otis and I are trying to figure out our little kind of morning routines. Just get up, do a little walk, do a little, what dogs need to do. And there's like a cool couple little loops around here they're not far and they're off the main road. So, there's no, like, you just don't see anybody. But we walked by a house where they had all this free stuff. Like there was a little sign that said free. And there was a Ouija board and like a bunch of like jigsaw puzzles that they were just like free. We don't want them. Just take them. And I, had my hands full with other things. So I was like, I don't need a jigsaw puzzle, but I should have got that Ouija board. I'll walk down there after we're done and see if it's still there.
Yeah, it could come in useful.
And let you know what's going on with my garage.
A lot of times it's helpful for troubleshooting the internet too. If you're having like bandwidth issues, you can ask the Ouija board, what's up with my bandwidth?
Right. What's my down speed? Right.
Yeah.
Right. I showed once because I'm hardwired in now. I have to dress the cables a little bit, but we're good to go. My mom was here yesterday helping me with stuff. And I was like, check this out, speed test. And she was like, are you serious? I'm like,
Like, how are you faking this?
She's like, how is that your up speed. And I'm like, gigabit internet. I mean, we're darn near. It is the best.
That's it. No, Theater Monkey's right. Your internet speed is so fast, it's warming the studio.
Ooh.
It's probably what it is. It's all those bits. They're flying.
Right. Yeah.
Friction.
They're warm. Yeah.
Because data is essentially light on a fiber connection, right?
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's everybody wins. except poor Odie. Look at Otis.
He's just settling in. He's like, I don't know what any of this is. I don't know where we are, why we're here.
Why am I here?
Confusing couple of weeks for Otis.
Why am I in here? Where's my?
He just needs to get settled. Yeah.
He just needs to get settled. He's actually been a very good boy.
He's probably worried about that Sarah Lane pinata hanging behind you. Why are there two of you?
When I got in, I was like, well, what is that? Can we get rid of that? And they were like, no, it's a Sarah Lane pinata. My landlord. My landlord. And I was like, okay, we'll keep it for now. But like eventually I do want it to go away. I don't know what that is. It's a strange, it's a joke I don't get.
Mm-hmm.
I get. But yeah,
so you have effigy of yourself over a hellmouth.
Very strange.
That you need to use a Ouija board to diagnose.
So the fridge, that fridge used to be upstairs in my place. And I kind of said, hey, I'm not super picky, but like maybe a modern fridge and we could put the other fridge downstairs. And they were like, yeah, cool. So I'm like, great. Yeah. Cause then, I could have like, soda or whatever, doing the show, just not having to run upstairs. It's nice to have. There's a microwave that I'm going to, plug in somewhere. But I figure that little area back there will be kind of just like hot plate.
Yeah.
Maybe I want to have some tea.
Sure.
Kind of thing. Like it's fully powered. It'll just be like, a place to, if I'm down here all day, I don't have to run upstairs for everything.
Yeah. It's your company kitchen.
Exactly. I mean, there's no bathroom down here. So,
you're going to have to go
upstairs for the bathroom. Yeah. But, everything else, it's like you could kind of have some like simple food that would make all the difference. Over here, that is the sort of more traditional garage desk area, that already existed.
Like a workbenchy kind of thing.
Exactly. And I thought about making this the desk, and I don't know, I moved stuff around enough where I'm like, nah, I like it over here better. So I don't know what that will be. We'll figure it out. Maybe, I don't know, like, again, I think of Patrick Norton. I'm like, Patrick Norton would know what to do.
Yeah, he would be. He'd have a hammer and nails out already.
Right?
And you would have lots of holes.
He'd start soldering over there or something. Yeah. But and then there's a couch that you can't see, but it's over here, kind of separating this area from kind of the street. Yeah, that's mine. Okay. And then over here, well, I guess you can kind of see it. There's like a little armoire.
You've got an armoire.
Yeah.
So that will take you to the mysterious realm that is heating your garage, I'm assuming.
I guess you could actually kind of see the little...
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You could totally do like a barbecue with the garage door open and just like have it outside and have like people swing on by. I mean,
I gotta tell you, I love this because I'm like, it's weird and obviously, a little, rough around the edges, but like there's so much room. Everything around here is sort of, it's not beautiful, but there's so much room to put it somewhere else rather than being in a small room and being like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do with all this, you know what I mean?
No, it's for real. Yeah, that's good stuff.
And we've got these, see those?
Oh yeah, you have storage up there.
Yeah, which I haven't even used at all.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, you will.
So yeah. So like all of that stuff will all just go up top, and I think it will help noise dampening as well.
Are you gonna put like a screen behind you, or bookshelves, or something, or?
That's a good question. So again, I'll show you. So on these guys behind me,
On those overhead storage things.
it's actually, I don't know, they're wider than they seem.
Yeah.
I could conceivably put curtains and shut off this entire thing.
Yeah.
You know, and just be kind of, you know, in a little cocoon. I don't know if that's the right call or not, but
yeah, right. Well,
are you saying you don't want to see my fridge, Tom?
Oh no, I wasn't sure if you would want to see your fridge.
I don't care. I was actually thinking, like, you know, we could, like, I don't know, I could, like, write out Grandmaster patrons and, like, put them on the freezer, you know, behind me,
cool.
you know. Yeah, we could have fun with it.
We could hang banners.
Magnets work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Boy, don't we know it. Let's check out who's on the fridge.
Kinda, I don't know, you know, have some fun. And again, all this stuff, you know, it'll all be the piñatas. I don't know what's going on with that. It's very strange. And then over here, it'll be, you know, probably just artwork and, you know, whatever. But yeah, no, it's really cool. There's so much to do in here. It's great. And I was worried that the noise would be real echoey, but honestly, even without
the Hiles are
stuff,
the Hiles are so good at that.
Yeah,
they're really, really, really good at cutting down on that. I do wonder. I do want to pass along that Daniel J. Newman in Twitch chat pointed out that Tom Petty said you don't have to live with an effigy in one of his songs. Don't have to live with
an effigy. Yeah, sure. I think that's how that went.
I think that's a pretty good place to end today's episode of Good Day Internet. Super, super glad that you're finally, like, in the studio.
Oh man, me too. It's so great. I'm so excited. There's so much fun, so many possibilities, and you know, again, just thanks to everybody in the community for sticking with me over a weird week, but we are in.
Excellent.
Studio Redwood. Woohoo. Up and running. Woo-woo.
All right. Thanks everybody for supporting us. Patreon.com/DTNS. And please have a good day.
Good day, Internet.
Good day.